Every glamorous candidate invited to Adrian Moretti's suite thought the Mafia boss was choosing a wife. But his curvy housekeeper knew the secret they all missed. Elena ran 2 fingers over the bedsheets. The pillows had been moved. But the razor-sharp crease she had ironed yesterday was completely untouched. Suddenly, Adrian appeared behind her. "You're paid to make the bed," he warned coldly. Elena didn't flinch. She looked from the pristine linen to his lethal eyes. "Not to pretend someone sleeps in it," she whispered. "You're testing the wrong women." Adrian closed the bedroom door without taking his eyes from her. "Explain." Elena smoothed the edge of the sheet. More to finish her work, then calm herself. She had made beds professionally for 9 years. Fabric remembered pressure. Pillows remembered heads. A fitted sheet pulled differently after a body turned against it for hours. "I change these sheets every morning," she said. "Sometimes the pillows move. Sometimes the blanket does. But this crease is always exactly where I left it." His expression gave her nothing. "Perhaps I sleep neatly." "Nobody sleeps that neatly." His gaze dropped to her fingers. "And that means I'm testing the wrong women Elena should have stopped. Adrian Moretti, paid well, expected discretion, and could silence a room merely by entering it. Yet for 6 weeks she had watched elegant women arrive in dresses worth more than her monthly salary. Each had been escorted upstairs alone. Each had left his suite believing she had passed or failed some mysterious audition for marriage. Elena had also watched the staff replace objects after every visit. A watch returned to its velvet tray. A drawer closed. A desk key moved back beside the lamp. The bed, however, remained untouched. "They think you're showing them the life they could have," Elena said. "You're watching what they do when they think your privacy belongs to them." For the first time, Adrian's composure shifted. One slow blink. "Who told you that?" "No one." "Then you're guessing." "Yes. But if I'm wrong, you wouldn't still be standing here." His mouth almost changed shape. It was not a smile, but it came close. "Finish the room." He opened the door, then paused. "And stay out of my study tonight." That warning was the first real answer Elena had received. He had not denied the test. More important, he had redirected her away from another room. She finished the bed and told herself the study was none of her business. For almost 3 hours, she kept that promise. Then, a thunderstorm rolled over the estate shortly after midnight, and another housemaid called in sick. Elena took the downstairs rooms herself. She carried fresh towels past Adrian's study and saw light beneath the door. She would have kept walking if she had not heard a glass strike the floor. The sound was small. The silence afterward was not. Elena knocked once. "Mr. Moretti." No answer. She opened the door just far enough to check whether someone needed help. Adrian was asleep on the leather sofa, not resting, not reading, sleeping. His long body barely fit between the arms. One shoe remained on. His white shirt was open at the throat, and his jacket lay folded beneath his head because he had no pillow. A handgun rested on the table, within reach of his right hand. The curtains were open. The hallway light spilled across the floor. Even asleep, Adrian faced the door. Elena understood the bedroom immediately. He could sleep. He simply refused to do it anywhere that required surrender. She bent to collect the fallen glass. Adrian's eyes opened before her fingers reached it. His hand moved toward the gun. Elena froze. He stopped with his palm inches from the weapon. Recognition returned to his face. "I told you to stay out," You also dropped a glass. That wasn't an invitation. No, it was a glass. She picked it up and set it on the desk. Adrian sat upright. Fatigue made him look different. Not weaker, more human, which somehow felt more private. How much did you see? A man sleeping badly on an expensive sofa. His eyes narrowed. You find that amusing? I find it terrible for your back. An unwilling smile appeared. Elena turned toward the door. I won't tell anyone. Why? She looked back. Because it isn't mine to tell. The humor disappeared from his face. Something quieter replaced it. By breakfast. Elena expected the moment to be forgotten. Instead, Adrian changed the rules. His final 2 candidates would arrive that afternoon, and Elena was ordered to prepare the suite personally. The first woman, Vanessa Cole, entered at 2. Elena knew only that her family had long-standing business ties to Adrian's. Vanessa complimented the flowers, admired the view, and waited until she was alone. Afterward, Elena found the watchbox open, and a silver pen moved from the desk. At 4, the second candidate entered. When she left, the safe behind a painting remained closed. But the painting hung slightly crooked. Elena straightened it and felt irritation rise. The women were not being judged on manners. They were being offered privacy and revealing what they believed privilege entitled them to take. That evening, Adrian entered while Elena was replacing towels. You were right, he said. About which part? They're being tested. Elena faced him. You admit it now. I wanted to know whether you'd understand the test without being told. Why? Because tomorrow I want you to take it. Elena laughed once before realizing he was serious. I work for you, which gives you more access to this house than any woman I've invited into it. And if I refuse, then you refuse. That answer mattered. Elena studied him before nodding. Fine, but I won't perform for you. Good. The next afternoon, Adrian left her alone in the suite with instructions to change the linens before dinner. The room looked ordinary until Elena noticed how deliberately tempting everything had become. An expensive watch lay beside the bed. A phone rested unlocked on the nightstand. One desk drawer stood open by 2 inches. A brass key sat beside a folded document bearing Adrian's name. Elena stared at the arrangement and became angry. Not tempted. Angry. He had turned privacy into bait, and people into suspects before they had committed an offense. She made the bed. She replaced the towels. She folded a shirt left across a chair and placed it where the wardrobe attendant normally kept Adrian's clothes. She did not touch the phone. Key. Document. Watch. Or drawer. Then she wheeled her cart into the corridor and found Adrian waiting. You didn't open the drawer. It wasn't mine to open. The phone. Also not mine. The document. Elena folded her arms. Would you like me to list everything in your bedroom that doesn't belong to me? His gaze sharpened with something dangerously close to approval. You passed. No. The word stopped him. I cleaned a room. You secretly decided that meant something about my character. It does. It means I know boundaries. It doesn't mean you know me. Adrian went still. Elena stepped closer. Trust isn't something you trap people into proving. He took the brass key from the table and closed his fist around it. And how would you prove it? I wouldn't. Convenient. No. Inconvenient. Trust takes time. Elena pushed her cart past him. That's why you can't buy it. She expected consequences. None came. Over the next 2 days, something stranger happened. Adrian began asking her questions. Not personal ones, practical ones. Had a candidate treated the staff differently when he left? Had anyone entered rooms without permission? Had Elena noticed what people touched when they believed no one important was watching? Elena answered only what she had personally observed. When Adrian tried to turn an assumption into a fact, she corrected him. He listened. Elena also knew the limit of her own skill. She could read what a room remembered, but she could not read motive from a moved object. A crooked painting proved someone had touched it. It did not prove why. When Adrian asked whether Vanessa had been searching for the safe, Elena refused to give him the certainty he wanted. She touched the painting. Anything beyond that is a guess. Adrian studied her. Most people in this house become more certain when I ask twice. Then you've trained them badly. His mouth twitched. Possibly. The next evening, Elena found Adrian at the window of his bedroom. His jacket was gone. His sleeves were rolled to his forearms, and the top 2 buttons of his shirt were open. He turned when she approached the bed. "You aren't nervous being alone in my bedroom?" Elena stripped one pillowcase. "Should I be? Most women are." She glanced at the untouched mattress. "Most women probably think you use it." A quiet laugh escaped him. It changed his entire face. And Elena hated how quickly she noticed. Adrian crossed the room to retrieve a cufflink near the bed. He reached it at the same moment Elena bent for it. Their hands stopped inches apart. Up close, she could smell clean soap, beneath the darker scent of his cologne. His eyes dropped briefly to her mouth, then returned to hers. Elena picked up the cufflink first and placed it in his palm. His fingers closed beneath hers for 1 measured second. "Still not nervous?" "That depends on whether you're planning another test." Adrian's thumb moved once against the cufflink. "No test." "Then I'm fine." He studied her as if the answer created a problem he did not know how to solve. Elena fitted the clean sheet over one corner of the mattress. "Can I ask you something?" "You usually do. You sleep in the study with a gun close enough to reach before your eyes are fully open. You keep the hallway light on. You face the door." His expression hardened. "You said you wouldn't tell anyone." "I haven't." Elena pulled the sheet tight and made the first clean fold. "You think I'm afraid of my own bed?" "No." She straightened and met his eyes. "I think you're afraid of what happens when you stop watching the door." Adrian did not answer. His gaze shifted past her shoulder to the old brass lock mounted inside the bedroom door. Elena had polished around it dozens of times without examining the small, dark scar near the keyhole. Tonight, she recognized it for what it was. A bullet mark. She looked from the damaged lock to the bed. Adrian closed the bedroom door. 3 years ago. I trusted someone enough to sleep here. Elena stayed beside the bed and waited. She did not ask the woman's name. The bullet scar had already told her which part of the story mattered. Adrian touched the old lock with 1 finger. She knew when I slept. She knew which door had 1 guard instead of 2. She knew where I kept my weapon. His voice remained controlled. But control itself had become evidence. She sold that information. Elena looked at the bed, and someone came through that door. 2 men. You survived. Yes. Did she? His eyes returned to hers. She disappeared before they arrived. Elena heard what he did not say. He had never been given the satisfaction of asking why. He had been left with a bedroom turned into a map of his own vulnerability. "So you stopped sleeping here." "I stopped giving anyone the information required to find me defenseless." "That isn't the same thing." "It kept me alive." Elena nodded. Maybe it did. But now you're interviewing wives, as if every woman is already halfway to betraying you. His jaw tightened. I'm eliminating the ones who prove they will, by giving them opportunities to violate your privacy. And they take them. Some do. All of them so far. Elena finished the second corner of the sheet. Then don't marry them. That's simple. That part is. The part where you decide whether anyone who passes your test deserves to be trusted is harder. Adrian watched her hands. You passed. And I still don't want your drawers. His mouth shifted. You're very determined to make that clear. Because you keep confusing access with intimacy. Elena softened her voice. Not her meaning. A thief wants access. A wife should have a choice. Adrian stepped around the bed. He stopped close enough that she could feel his warmth without being touched. And what would you choose? Her pulse betrayed her before her face did. You're asking your housekeeper a dangerous question. You didn't answer it. Because you haven't earned the answer. His eyes held hers. Instead of pressing, Adrian moved back and gave her room to finish. That retreat affected her more than if he had touched her. The next morning, the bride selection dinner became the only subject anyone in the mansion discussed. Adrian's aunt had arranged it as a final gathering for the remaining candidates and several relatives. Elena wanted no part of it. She kept herself away from the dining room until Adrian sent for her. She found him alone near the library doors. I need your judgment. Those 4 words stopped her. 2 days earlier, he would have said he needed information. Now, he was asking for judgment. About what, Vanessa? I don't know her. You've watched her. While working. Exactly. Elena hesitated. She treats you differently when you're present. She asks the staff questions she doesn't ask in front of you. Adrian waited. Which rooms are private? Which employees stay overnight? Whether you keep the same schedule every week? His expression sharpened. Why didn't you tell me? Because none of that proves she intends to hurt you. Elena held his gaze. You asked what I observed. That's what I observed. And your judgment. She's interested in access. I don't know why. Adrian nodded once. That distinction is why I asked you. Respect was more dangerous than flirtation. Elena could dismiss a look at her mouth. It was harder to dismiss a powerful man changing the way he made decisions because she had challenged him. At dinner, Elena stayed near the service corridor. She was checking the linen cabinet when Vanessa found her. The woman wore ivory silk and the pleasant expression of someone accustomed to being welcomed everywhere. Elena. Isn't it? Yes. Adrian speaks highly of you. Mr. Moretti expects the staff to do their jobs well. Is that all he expects? Elena closed the cabinet. You should ask him. Vanessa smiled. I have. Adrian doesn't answer personal questions. Then I probably shouldn't answer them for him. The smile thinned. You spend a great deal of time in his bedroom. Elena nearly laughed at the deliberate insult. I'm a housekeeper. Of course. Vanessa glanced toward Elena's body, then back to her face. Elena refused to carry the judgment for her. Was there something you needed? Just advice. A man like Adrian needs a woman who understands his world. Then you should probably show him that you do. Elena moved to leave. Vanessa's next words stopped her. He doesn't sleep in that bedroom. Does he? Elena turned slowly. Vanessa watched her face too carefully. I don't discuss Mr. Moretti's private life. You didn't have to. Vanessa smiled again and walked away. Elena stood still. Her own mistake landed immediately. She had protected Adrian's privacy. But her hesitation had confirmed that there was privacy to protect. Competence did not make her infallible. Worse, Vanessa had known exactly what question to ask. Elena found Adrian before dinner ended. I made a mistake. He dismissed the guard beside him with a glance. What happened? She told him exactly. No excuse. I didn't confirm anything verbally. But she was watching my reaction. I gave her one. Adrian's face became unreadable. Then I should never have put you in that position. Elena had expected anger. The apology disarmed her. She already suspected something, and I made my private test visible enough for her to investigate. That ends tonight. The selection, the games. Before Elena could ask what he meant, a spoon struck a champagne glass inside the dining room. Vanessa's voice carried through the open doors. Since we're all here to discuss Adrian's future, perhaps someone should finally discuss whether he can share one. Elena's stomach dropped. They entered together. Vanessa stood at the table, while 24 eyes shifted toward Adrian. You've tested every woman in this room. Our manners, our discretion, our interest in your possessions. But perhaps the real question is why a man looking for a wife cannot even sleep beside one. The room became silent. Elena saw the change in Adrian before anyone else did. His shoulders remained level. His face remained calm, but his right hand closed once at his side. Vanessa had found his wound and carried it into a room full of witnesses. Enough, Adrian said. Is it untrue? Vanessa asked. Adrian could have threatened her. He could have ordered her removed. He could have lied. Instead, he looked at Elena. Vanessa noticed. My God, you trust the help because she knows how to make a bed. Elena felt. Every eye turned toward her. The insult was designed to make her defend herself. She refused. He sleeps just fine, Elena said. Vanessa laughed. Elena continued. He simply hasn't found anyone worth closing his eyes beside. Silence returned. Different this time. Adrian stared at her. Elena had not exposed the study. The gun, the open curtains, or the bullet scar. She had taken what she knew and refused to turn it into a weapon. Vanessa's face hardened. How touching. Adrian finally looked away from Elena. You're leaving. Because I embarrassed you. Because you were given privacy and treated it as leverage. You tested me. Yes. And that was wrong. Several people shifted in surprise. Adrian did not. I created a trap and called the result trust. Elena was the first person honest enough to tell me the difference. But what you chose to do tonight was yours. He nodded toward the doors. You won't be invited back. No threat followed. None was needed. Vanessa left. Adrian faced the table. Dinner is over. Within minutes, the room emptied. Elena began collecting abandoned glasses because work gave her hands something sensible to do. Adrian caught her wrist lightly before she reached the third. His touch immediately loosened when she looked at it. Leave them. Someone has to clear the table. Not tonight. Are you ordering me? His fingers released her completely. No. Then what are you doing? Adrian looked at the empty doorway, trying to say thank you without making it sound like an order. Elena's expression softened. You're not very good at it. I'm discovering several deficiencies this week. She smiled, despite herself. Adrian's attention dropped to her mouth. Why did you defend me? I defended your right to decide who knows your weakness. After I manipulated you. Yes. Why Elena stepped closer. Because your bad behavior doesn't give me permission to become cruel. His hand rose toward her cheek. then stopped before touching her. "May I?" The question sent heat through her, more effectively than any command could have. Elena nodded. His fingertips settled along her jaw. Slow, careful. His thumb rested below her lower lip. Instead of stepping away, Elena placed her hand against his chest. "This isn't trust," she murmured. "I know. And it doesn't mean I passed some test." "I know." "Good." Adrian bent toward her, then stopped with barely an inch between their mouths. He waited. Elena closed the distance herself. The kiss began restrained and warm. Adrian's hand moved from her jaw to her waist, firm enough for her to feel the strength he was deliberately controlling. Elena caught the front of his shirt and kissed him again. This time his breath changed. His other hand settled against the curve of her back, drawing her closer, only after she moved willingly into him. Heat traveled through her body with startling speed. Adrian broke the kiss first. His forehead rested against hers. "If I keep going, I'm going to want more than I should ask for tonight." Elena's fingers remained curled against his shirt. "That may be the first sensible thing you've said in this room." A rough laugh moved through his chest. She stepped back, before desire could make choices that trust had not yet earned. Adrian let her go. No protest. No command. Later that night, Elena returned to the bedroom. Adrian stood beside the dresser, with the drawer open. The handgun from his study lay inside it. He closed the drawer, turned the key, and placed the small brass key in her palm. "Put it somewhere. I can't reach it tonight." Elena stared at him. The gesture was more intimate than the kiss. "Adrian, you don't have to prove anything to me." "I'm not proving it." "Then what are you doing?" He looked toward the bed. "Trying something I haven't done in 3 years." Elena closed her fingers around the key. "And if I leave," Adrian met her eyes, "then I'll know I trusted the wrong woman again." Elena's warmth vanished. She placed the key back against his chest. "No." Adrian frowned. "No, that's another test." "It isn't." "Then, don't make your recovery depend on whether I obey you. You're still building traps." "Adrian, this one just looks romantic." He took the key slowly. The rejection hurt him, but he did not punish her for it. What would make it different? Elena looked at the untouched bed. "Give me the key, because you trust me. Not because you need my behavior to prove you were right." Adrian's fingers closed around the brass. Elena walked to the door. The question had changed. It was no longer whether Adrian could find a woman he trusted. It was whether he could stop testing her long enough to become trustworthy himself. "Wait," Elena turned. Adrian stood beside the bed, with the key inside his fist. But the authority had gone out of his posture. "You're right. I turned trust into something people could pass or fail, because that meant I controlled the result. Then I did the same thing to you." "Yes." He accepted the answer. "I'm sorry." Elena watched him carefully. "What happens to the bride selection?" "It ends. Because Vanessa failed. Because I did." That answer reached her. Adrian placed the key on the nightstand instead of offering it again. "You don't have to take it. You don't have to stay. And you don't have to decide anything about me tonight." He walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" "The study." "Of course you are." Adrian stopped. That sounded like criticism. "Observation. You're very talented at making those expensive." Elena almost smiled. "Good night, Adrian." He left without asking her to follow. The next morning, he did exactly what he had promised. The remaining candidates received personal messages ending the selection. and the staff removed every staged temptation from the suite. No unlocked phone. No deliberately open drawer. No misplaced key. When Elena entered after breakfast, the room finally looked like a bedroom instead of a trap. The bed was still pristine. That disappointed her more than she wanted to admit. That afternoon, Adrian called the household staff into the dining room. "The private suite tests are over," he said. "They should never have involved the staff. If any guest questioned you about my routines because of what I arranged, that was my responsibility, not yours. No employee will be asked to observe a guest for me again without knowing exactly what is being requested and having the right to refuse." Elena felt the meaning beneath the policy. He was giving up a useful source of information because the method had crossed a boundary. That cost him something real. After the staff left, Adrian remained beside the table. Was that sufficient? For them, it was a start. For you, you don't get a checklist. A reluctant smile touched his mouth. "I walked into that one." "You did." He approached her, stopping at a respectful distance. "Dinner tonight." Elena raised an eyebrow. Another command. "En invitation." "Can I say no?" Adrian's expression became serious. "Yes." "Elena, let him wait." 7:30. His smile appeared, slowly. 7:30. Dinner was served on a small terrace rather than in the formal dining room. There were no candidates, relative, hidden tests, or objects placed to tempt anyone. Elena wore a simple dark dress she already owned. And when Adrian's gaze moved over her, it carried appreciation without appraisal. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thank you. You expected me to say more." "I expected a man who interviews wives to have a scoring system. I'm retiring several systems." "Healthy." Adrian laughed. They talked without pretending his world was ordinary. He admitted that he had believed a careful enough process could remove emotional risk. "You can investigate a business partner," Elena said. "You can't background check your way into intimacy." "I'm beginning to understand that, painfully. Extremely." After dinner, they walked inside as rain began tapping against the windows. Near the staircase, Adrian reached for her hand and stopped before taking it. Elena noticed. "You can hold my hand without submitting a written request. I'm recalibrating. Try common sense." His fingers threaded through hers. The gesture was almost innocent. Yet Elena felt it more deeply than their kiss. At the bedroom door, they stopped. The old bullet-marked lock remained visible. Adrian looked at it. "I'm having that replaced tomorrow." Elena shook her head. "Don't. Replacing the lock won't change what happened. Keep it until it means something different." Adrian's gaze lowered to her fingers. "You make housekeeping unexpectedly philosophical. We spend our lives cleaning up what other people leave behind. And what do you do with what won't come clean? Decide whether it still belongs in the room." Adrian opened the door. The bed waited beneath the soft lamps. Perfectly smooth. The crease remained unbroken. "Stay," he said, then corrected himself. "I'd like you to stay." Elena entered. "For how long?" "As long as you choose." Adrian went to the dresser. He removed a handgun from the locked drawer and carried it to a small wall safe. He locked the safe himself, then set the key on the mantel. "You don't need me to hide it," Elena said. "No. Then what's different?" Adrian faced her. "I'm not making you responsible for my fear, and I'm not asking you to cure it." Elena touched his shirt near the open collar. "Better. Adrian's hand settled at her waist. Better enough. Don't get ambitious. His smile brushed hers an instant before his mouth did. The kiss was slower than the first. Adrian's palm spread against the curve of her waist, while Elena slid both hands over his shoulders. When he drew her closer, she felt the heat of his body through the thin fabric between them. His mouth moved from hers to the corner of her jaw, then stopped. Tell me if you want me to stop. I'll tell you. She kissed him again. His restraint frayed beautifully. One hand moved along her back, never taking more than she offered. Elena felt desired without being inspected, held without being claimed. When his lips touched the sensitive place beneath her ear, her fingers tightened in his shirt. Adrian lifted his head. Still okay. If you ask every 5 seconds, I may change my answer. A low laugh escaped him. Elena guided his hand back to her waist. There. His eyes darkened. You're very specific. You like specific. I'm discovering I like many things about you. The heat between them sharpened, but Elena saw his gaze move toward the bed. Desire changed into something more complicated. We don't have to, she said. Adrian exhaled. I want to. Wanting and being ready aren't the same. I know. Elena released his shirt. Then tonight. Do one thing you can live with tomorrow. He looked at the bed. Stay until I fall asleep. Then ask me, without making it a test. Adrian took her hand. Elena, would you stay with me until I fall asleep? Yes. They did not undress. They did not turn the moment into a conquest. Adrian removed his shoes and lay on top of the cover at first, visibly uncomfortable with the distance between himself and the door. Elena sat beside him, leaning against the headboard. After several minutes, he shifted beneath the blanket. The sheet crease disappeared under his shoulder. Elena noticed, but said nothing. His eyes remained open. You're watching the door. Habit. Do you want the hallway light on? Adrian considered it. No. Elena switched off the lamp. Adrian's hand found hers beneath the blanket. His grip was too tight. Elena squeezed once. I'm here. I know. That wasn't a promise about tomorrow. His grip loosened. I know that too. Minutes passed. His breathing slowed, then sharpened whenever the house made a sound. Elena did not soothe him like a child. She did not tell him he was safe when she could not know that. She simply remained where she had chosen to remain. Eventually, his fingers relaxed around hers. His breathing deepened. Adrian Moretti was asleep. Not the alert half-rest she had seen on the sofa. Elena stayed another 20 minutes, then carefully slipped from the bed. He did not wake. At breakfast, Adrian did not appear. Bitten. Elena began to wonder whether something was wrong. Atelefen. She carried fresh towels upstairs and stopped outside his suite. The door stood slightly open. She entered quietly. Morning light crossed the bed. The razor-sharp crease was gone. The sheets were wrinkled. One pillow carried the unmistakable hollow of a sleeping head. Adrian lay beneath the blanket without a gun, jacket, or hallway light. Elena felt a smile rise before she could stop it. She turned toward the door. You always leave this quietly. His voice was rough with sleep. Elena looked back. I thought you were asleep. Adrian opened his eyes. I was. 2 words. Nothing else was needed. Elena walked back to the bedside. How long? Almost 8 hours. Terrifying. Deeply. She laughed. Adrian reached for her hand. But this time there was no desperation in the gesture. Stay for breakfast. Elena looks down at him. As your housekeeper? No. As the woman I want to ask properly. Ask what? Not today. I've learned something about rushing tests. Good. I was thinking dinner first. Several dinners. Actually, somewhere you choose. No evaluation. No hidden drawers. That sounds almost normal. Don't insult me. Elena laughed again. Adrian's expression softened. And if, after all of that, you decide you don't want this, she understood what the old Adrian would have done. He would have searched for certainty, designed another test, removed every variable until choice became inevitable. The man sitting before her did none of those things. Then I'll accept your answer, he said. There was the cost. Adrian Moretti, who had survived by controlling every vulnerable variable, was giving Elena the one thing. He could not control the right to leave. She leaned down and kissed him once. Softly. Breakfast. Start there. Adrian smiled against her mouth. Breakfast. Elena straightened the pillow automatically, then stopped when she reached for the sheet. The old crease could not be restored without remaking the entire bed. For weeks, it had been her proof that something inside Adrian's beautiful bedroom was false. Now the linen was warm, wrinkled, and unmistakably lived in. Elena left it exactly that way. She took Adrian's hand, and together they walked downstairs, while the ruined crease remained behind them. No longer evidence that a frightened man never slept there, but proof that for one night, he had finally closed his eyes without needing to know what the woman beside him would choose in the morning.